and I'm Asutosh Kumar, associated with this institute. So basically, the webinar agenda will be the test automation, when and why, automation tools comparison, Selenium, like introduction to Selenium, and we have different flavors in Selenium. Then setting up Selenium with Java, running our first Selenium script, and different type of locators and processing elements in the Selenium, and finally the framework test-ng. And we will cover something up to Selenium Grid and reporting part in Selenium. So the next slide, it's about our Institute Tech Canvas. We are basically specialized in automation testing, training, and business analyst training too. We are IIBA endorsed education practitioner and Agile Testing Alliance PCP. We have different courses at our institute. The first is Selenium Professional, and we can go up to the advanced level also. Like advanced level means leave about the interview. We can develop a framework, which is a very robust framework in the advanced session. Then there is the APM training, which relates to the mobile testing. And the last is automation testing in agile projects, how we carry automation testing in agile projects. So basically, I wanted to ask you guys, what is the understanding of you people in terms of test automation? Anyone? Hello? Are you guys able to hear me? Hello? We will go ahead with test automation. See, basically test automation is like automating the end-to-end flows, which does not have the manual intervention. So if we have any manual intervention in any particular test case, we have to do that part manually. Otherwise, we can do the remaining part with the automation. So basic idea behind this is to first test the preconditions, set and test the preconditions, and how we are going to control our execution. There, Selenium Grid comes into picture. And the third part is comparing the actual outcome with the expected outcome, which we do in manual test also. So process of automating a manual process already in place uses a formalized testing process. See, this is the slide which gives an idea on automation tools comparison in terms of their support to different technology, different browser, different operating systems, and last but not the least, that is cost. So we can see the first is QTP, which is very, very expensive and not up to that level. See, if you can see that Telerik mobile controls, it is not supporting the Telerik mobile controls. And this Safari browser also, it not supports Android and iOS and Windows Mobile, it not supports. Test Complete, we have, it almost supports everything except Windows Mobile. The third is Selenium, which we are doing now, and it is free of cost, and it supports web applications and mobile applications. It does not support Windows applications, and it has also limitations in when we have Telerik mobile controls or Telerik controls. Like that. The next is Ranorex, which is very cheap, and you can see if it supports everything. Like you can see every cell is having Y. It supports everything. Whatever we want to automate, this Ranorex tool can automate. And basically this Ranorex tool works on the .NET library framework. This is based on the .NET library framework only and uses C# and VB.NET languages. So the next is Test Studio. This is Visual Studio basically, and it also supports almost everything. And then Visual Studio Ultimate. This is the advanced version of Visual Studio, we can say that. And the last is Silk Test. Silk Test is also like price is also very high. You can see it's high than QTP also, but it does not supports what QTP does. So basically, we can derive from this that whenever we have a scenario in our organization where we are working, like our management decides to automate certain things or automate certain flows of any application, and they are on the verge to discuss about which tool to start using. Like they have to decide on the tool part. So sorry, they will come to our test team and discusses with us and say that do an R&D and tell us which tool will be much easier in terms of resources we have and in terms of application, the technology we have. So basically we have to judge that at enterprise level how many applications we have in our organization which needs automation, or in future they would require automation testing. So we will do R&D based upon different applications, different technologies, what resources we have, and the last part is cost. So if we have only web applications and mobile applications, we can definitely go for Selenium into our organization. We can propose Selenium. But in case if it is Windows application also, then we should go for Ranorex too, and at a certain extent QTP also, because QTP, the only advantage with QTP is we will find many blogs, many things on internet, many support in Google, which we don't find in other tools. We can find it in Selenium and QTP mainly. So we can propose based upon our technology, based upon our resources, based upon the cost what we have in our organization, we can propose a tool to automate our test. Now we will start with Selenium. See, Selenium, it's open source, like it's a free tool developed by some people who are dedicatedly working on this. And like how Selenium comes into picture, why it got named as Selenium. See, around 2007, 2006, 2008, in that period, only automation tool was QTP in market. So the main competitor of Selenium was QTP, and that was holded by Mercury. That time Mercury is having a product called QTP. So what happens actually, like in chemical in chemistry, we Selenium is used to remove mercury from the body. So the Selenium developers thought that Selenium will outplay the QTP, so they thought of naming it as Selenium. Selenium outplay mercury. So from here Selenium got its name. It's developed by Jason Huggins in 2004. Like, see, we have different Selenium flavors. The Selenium Suite, the first is Selenium ID, and Selenium RC, the second one. These are basically, Selenium ID is basically used to do a recording part, which we have almost in every tool. So Selenium is also having a feature to record our test and play it again with multiple data, like parameterizing the test. So we can use Selenium ID, but it is having certain limitations also. So we have to go and develop our own framework using WebDrivers. So the third part, WebDriver, is the combination of the Selenium RC and WebDriver, that is the Selenium 2.0. And the last is Selenium Grid, which we can discuss in later slide. So this is first Selenium ID. So basically I want to tell you guys how we have to install the Selenium ID. See, these are the steps which we can follow. Download Firefox, go to http://selenium.org/download, and then we can go on the section Selenium ID and click on, like I'll go here, I have already Firefox in my machine. So I'll go with Firefox. This is the download page. Here we can download anything which we want for Selenium. See, this is the link which I am saying. From here we can download the Selenium ID. See this part, Selenium ID. So from here we can download Selenium ID. My system is already having ID, so it will not allow me to do it again. So once we download, install Selenium ID, it will pop up in the toolbox menu bar. If it is not coming, we can just change the settings that it will comes into menu bar. Then when we click on the arrow button of this, it will show two different options. Open Selenium ID is a pop-up, the first option, and the second option, open Selenium ID as a sidebar. So we have the two ways to open Selenium ID. I'm going with the first way. This is the Selenium ID, a different window with the from the Firefox. When we open in the sidebar, it will attach in the browser itself only. So here we can see that it is having a default test case that is untitled, name of the test case only. When we right click on this test case and go to properties, it will open a window and we can rename it. So we can rename it as ID test. So it got renamed to ID test, and then we can start recording with this, and we can type the base URL over here. It's done. And now we can start recording here. So we will click on record now, and we will see how to do recording and how to play that already recorded test case or test script. So I have clicked on record button, this red button. You can see now recording, click to stop recording, it is showing. So just right here. Now it will record everything. Now we want to search something like Selenium Grid, suppose. And click on the search button. Now we want to stop that recording. Here you can see it has stopped recording now, and here you can see that this is the target. This is the ID. This is the text field which we have, where we have written Selenium Grid. You can see the value as Selenium Grid, and this is the button which we have clicked on search button. This is the search button which is having the click command. So the first three commands are open, type, and click. The type will have the value as Selenium Grid, and the click will have name as whatever the HTML page developer has given it. So they have given it as BTNG, the name of the click this search element. So we can just play this again to see how this is working. Just see, if you want to run a particular single test case, we can click on this green button, green icon. And if you want to run the whole test suite, we can click on the button which is left hand side of that, the original button. So just click on the play current test case and it will do whatever we have recorded. So it does. And now if you can see, it has log file. In the bottom panel, you can see here log file, playing test case IDE test. Which test it is playing, it is showing its name, IDE test. What we have here, IDE test. Then whatever the actions it has performed, open, type, and click, all these are logged into its logger. The reference here, you can see arguments, what we have passed or what we have done, the URL and all that. It is showing all these things. So we like here when we click on this open, we can change anything to this. I'm changing it to google.com. By default we have used google.com also, but when we changed, it will show here in the target. You can see it is showing here www.google.com, and we can change this value also. First we have searched for Selenium Grid while recording. Now we want to search something different. We want to search test. Okay, so it appended the value as test. Now we want to run this test. Now it will search for test. So here we can see that how we can play this with multiple data. One more thing, like we can export this test case also. So how we can export this? Just click on file, save test case or export test case, and here the different languages which it supports, it is here. So suppose we want to export it in Java JUnit 4. So it will just go here, save it on wherever you want, and writing is webinar ID test. Just save it, and here it is. If you open this file, it is showing something code like this. So don't get uh, uh, don't feel that you are not able to understand this code. This code is very simple. Just we need to format it. Suppose if you open this in Eclipse, it will properly get formatted and we can easily understand what is written behind this. So we will see in Eclipse how this works. So this is the IDE part which is used for recording, and how we are parameterizing the same test with different set of data. So we can do this like we can do it like this. So for the people who are beginners, I would suggest do some R&D on IDE, Selenium IDE, and record few tests. Do some different kind of thing, different options is given over here. Do some R&D and try to learn it. And in the training program also, if we are going to start the training program, we will see this IDE test, how this works completely, but we have very limited time, so we have to focus on other areas also. So we will move ahead now. I'll close the Selenium IDE. If you guys have any question on Selenium IDE, just let me know. It is asking also whether we want to save the test or not. I'll say don't save. So basically this is Selenium IDE, and it is integrated with Firefox. It will not support with any other browser. It will support only with Firefox. See, this is the next version, WebDriver. The first was IDE, the second was RC, but RC and WebDriver include Selenium 2.0, and that is where we have to start writing the code and developing the framework and all that. So which type of languages it supports? Programming languages, like it supports Java, it supports .NET, Python, Perl, Ruby, and many more languages. And on the left hand side, you can see which kind of browser or which type of browser it will support. It will support Firefox, IE, Safari, Chrome, Opera, and it will support multiple browsers. So there is no limitation in terms of web application automation testing when we are using Selenium. It will support almost all the languages and almost all the browsers. So it is a very good idea to go ahead with the Selenium when we have only web applications to automate in our organization. This is the WebDriver structure. Test script using WebDriver client library supported in Java, Ruby, and etc. Whatever the languages we have, we are writing the test script in that languages. That is kept on the left hand panel. And then we have multiple drivers. See, I don't want to scare you people by saying interface and class and all that, because once you decide to learn Selenium, once you are ready to dedicate your time to learn Selenium, you will definitely understand these keywords, and these are very simple keywords. I would say that. So basically we have a interface called WebDriver, and in that WebDriver we have multiple classes, that is Chrome driver, Firefox driver, IE driver, and other browsers also, other browser drivers also. So basically these three browsers are actively used in market and IT industry. So we have kept only these three browsers. So we have to write the code for all these three browsers. Like we have to run our application on any browser. So it should support, our code should be written in a manner that it should support all three browsers. And it will request a response to this web server hosting where all these Selenium is hosted. So basically this is the architecture. Now the Selenium grid part, this is very simple. This is why we use Selenium grid. What is the purpose of Selenium grid? The purpose of Selenium grid is to just minimize the execution time. Suppose we have thousands and thousands of test cases which we have automated, which we have written, scripted, everything, and we want to do the execution of those thousand of cases in minimum time. And suppose our manager says that we have only 2 days to do this all regression. So what we can do, or what we can propose to our manager, that we should use Selenium grid. And why Selenium grid? Because it will support different operating systems like Windows, Linux, Unix, everything it will support. Every platform it will support. And we have to run our test on multiple browsers. Suppose we have to run on IE, Firefox, Chrome, all three browsers. We have to run our test on all three browsers and different operating systems. So just we have to keep some dedicated test machines where we have installed these different operating systems, these different browsers on every machine, and we can run our whole test suite, whole regression test suite on each of the test machine, dedicated test machine, which will run uninterrupted. We don't have to interrupt in between. So the basic advantage of Selenium grid is it will reduce our execution time. Now suppose we have 1,000 cases and we want to run it on only on one browser and one Windows, like one operating system, that is Windows. So how we should go ahead with this? We can bifurcate the test. Like suppose we have 500 or 1,000 number of cases. So if we have 1,000 number of cases, we can run 333 cases on 3 different machines, or 100 test cases on 10 different machines with the same settings which we have in all machine. For like operating system will be Windows and the browsers will be IE and Chrome and Firefox. So the basic idea of this is to reduce the execution time by implementing this Selenium grid. So this is our creating first test. So before going forward, this is the environment setup which I want to explain. What is the environment setup we have? So first is Eclipse. We have to download Eclipse. The second part is Java Software Development Kit, SDK, Software Development Kit. And the third part is Selenium WebDriver jars. And then if we want to run our test on Firefox also, we have to install Firefox, or whatever browsers we want to install, we have to install those browsers. And as we have seen in the previous slides that Firefox is the default for the IDE. So it will not require any kind of driver, but for IE and Chrome, we have a specific driver which we will see from where we can download. So just I'm just explaining how we can download Eclipse. Just write download Eclipse and it comes the first link. Just click on the first link and here we get. So depending upon our system, we can get it from here, download 64-bit. So how we identify which bit of application we have to download from Eclipse? So just go to my computer, right click on my computer and go to properties. It will open this window and here we can see the configuration of our machine. See, the system type is 64-bit operating system and the RAM is 4 GB. So it's a different thing. Just we have to focus on 64-bit or 32-bit. If it's 32-bit, go for 32-bit. If it's 64-bit, go for 64-bit. So here if we have 64-bit, we can go from here and download this Eclipse. Otherwise, we just search here for 32-bit. Because in today's time, most of the laptops are 64-bit. So by default, they are displaying it on the page 64-bit. So from here, we can download this Eclipse and how this Eclipse looks like. Once it got downloaded, it will look like this. And this is the executable file. This is the application. This is the Eclipse actual. We can right click on this and pin to taskbar or save it, like create a shortcut for desktop also. So just we can pin to taskbar from here or send it to our desktop. Okay, and whenever we have to start the Eclipse, just come here and double click on it and it will get started, or right click and say open. It will get started. So it will get started like this. Nothing will be here. These two, Selenium 27 and testing, these two will not be there because I have created it, so it is there. But by default, first time when we open the Eclipse, we will not have any kind of package over here. The second part is Java. We have to download Java. So in the similar fashion, just download Java, right? Download Java. Once we start the classes, we can see the practically how we can download this in our lab. And you basically you will download all these things and we will support you in wherever you are getting stuck. So just click on the first link, download free Java software. In my machine, it is already available. So just to ensure, we want to check whether Java is installed in my machine or not. So to do that, you can also do it right now with me. Like just go to the command prompt, click on start button, just go to the start menu, write CMD, and this CMD we have to open. Either you press enter or click on CMD. It will open this window. Now we want to ensure, if you want to check whether Java is there in your machine or not, you can do this parallelly with me. You can do with me. Just write Java over here and press enter. It is showing everything is there. So Java is there. Now we want to verify which version of Java is in my machine, is in my computer. So just write Java space hyphen version. See, everything is in the small letters, lowercase. Don't use any uppercase. Otherwise it will throw error. So just we have written Java space hyphen version. If you want to test in your computer whether Java is installed or not, just write this in the command prompt, Java space hyphen version, and press enter. And it will show this 1.8.0 underscore 101 v13. So Java 1.8 version installed in my machine. So similarly, you can also test in your machine which version of Java is installed or whether Java is installed or not. So this is the second part. Now the third part is Selenium. Download Selenium. This is the website seleniumhq.org/download. So here we can see this Selenium client and WebDriver languages. This part, this part. So for whichever language you are going to write the script, just if you are going for Java, just click on this download and the Selenium jars will get downloaded. If you are going for C Sharp, just click on the C Sharp download, or whichever language you are going to script, just download that part. So we are using Java, so we have to download Java. And how it looks like. It's already installed in my machine, so it will show it like something like it will. This is the version of the Selenium WebDriver 2.53, which is installed in the machine. The latest Selenium WebDriver version is 3.0. So we can open this folder and see these two Selenium jar files. Executable jar file. The type of the file is executable jar file. So these two jar files are very important. And inside the libs folder, libs libs folder, we have multiple jar files. See, 21 items are here, 21 executable jar files are here. So we have to just copy all these jar files into our project solution. So we will see how we can do this. We will do it. Then the last part is we have to install Firefox. If we don't have in our machine, just install Firefox. And then the drivers for IE and Chrome. So from where we can install the drivers for IE and Chrome, or for any other browser. So just go to Selenium download page. And this is the third-party drivers, bindings, and plugins. This section. You can see over here, there are many browsers and many applications which we have for as a driver. We can download it from here. So for Google Chrome driver, just click on this. The latest is 2.23. So download this. If we click on 2.23, it will take us here. Now we can see Chrome driver for Linux 32-bit, Chrome driver for Linux 64-bit, Chrome driver for Mac 64-bit, and Chrome driver for Windows 32-bit. But this Windows 32-bit will support 64-bit also. So just download this Chrome driver. It will get downloaded in a zipped file, and just unzip that. Similarly, for IE, they have specified something over here, Internet Explorer driver server. So guys, sorry, what I'll suggest is don't get hesitated. Just ask me if you have any queries, and I'm happy to answer those queries. And don't get scared that there are so many things to do. These are very initial level things, and we can learn it in a single session if we focus only on this. So here it's 32-bit Windows IE, 64-bit Windows IE. So depending upon our machine configuration, we can download it from here. So how these drivers will look alike? See, I have kept drivers over here. This is the Chrome driver and this is the IE driver server. So these two drivers, these two browser we are using in our test. So we have to install these two drivers from seleniumhq.org page. Now we will see the Eclipse part, how we have done this. Just click on file. If you want to create a new package or new project, just click on file and new Java project. Okay, just click on new Java project and it will create a new, just give your name. One more thing guys, when we have finished installing the Eclipse, and when we launch the Eclipse first time, it will ask you for the workspace. What is your workspace? Workspace is nothing, but we have to define where the all project solutions and where all the files related to project will get stored. Just we have to give that path. So you can give it anywhere in your D drive, E drive, F drive, anywhere. Just don't give it in the C drive because that is basically everything for system. So give in D, E or F, any drive. And now when we are creating a project, just create a project, webinar test. I'm just writing the name of the project. You can write name of your application. Suppose your application name is ABC. You can write ABC over here. See this radio button where this is the workspace. Use default location checkbox. You can see if it is going D test projects webinar test. So this is the workspace which was defined by me when I have first initiated Eclipse. So this webinar test will go there under projects. The test projects webinar test. Basically, this is the folder projects, and here it should come when once we create the webinar test, it should get populated here. Now it is the default use and execution environment JRE, that is 1.8. Just click on finish. It will create your webinar test here. Now we can see here webinar test got created. Just double click on that webinar test and we can see what different files it has. These files are not meant for us. Don't feel that these files we have to work something in these files. We don't have to work anything on these files. So just go to Eclipse. If we want to open the folder from here, just right click on your project, go to show in and click on System Explorer. It will open the test. Yes, it opened it wherever it has stored and it is showing webinar test. Now just expand this webinar test and it is showing two different things, SRC and JRE system library. Okay, so basically this SRC means source. This SRC we have to work upon. So just understand that this SRC is just a kind of folder which we create in our system. So this is just a kind of folder. Just right click on this SRC and create some packages. Create package. Package is just a folder. Package you can understand but by the word itself, package. It's a package of something. So it's a folder which has something. So we will have our package. What we can have in our package? See, for the framework, we can design our framework here in this source folder. So before going forward, I will try to make you understand what are the different components of the framework. Like first, we have the object repository where we can keep all the objects. The second is the utilities. Utilities is basically those classes or those functions or methods which we can define in the utilities and which can be used across any application. Those are not dependent upon the application. Those are the reusables which can work in any application. Like, see, I'll give you an example. Suppose we have to read some data from an Excel file. So it doesn't depends upon any application, any particular web application which is in our organization. So we can define a method, we can create our own method which will read data from Excel file and we can keep under utilities. So I'm just going to create utilities. Similarly, I'll create different packages. Object repository, OR. Third, I want to make a separate package for browser. This is also not dependent upon any application. And last but not the least, the test scripts. If you guys have worked on Quality Center or any test management tool, you can see that we have a folder test scripts where we are keeping all the test cases. So similarly it is having test scripts, and under test scripts just create class. For everything now we have to create class for every package. So for browser also just go and create a class, say browser utils. So it got created browser utils. Similarly for test scripts, just go to class and write TC01. This is the first test which we want to automate. Similarly, if we have another, or suppose if we have 500 or 1000 cases, we have to create different classes. Or the best practice is like when we go to advanced level, we can see how we can use these classes for multiple number of scripts. So as of now, I am not going to discuss that because we should not dive into those kind of things right now. Just we have to understand the basics first, and then we can go there. So basically, and just understand that we have two different test scripts which we have created as a class, and now we can write our own methods, own things into this. So what I have done, I have prepared a different solution for this. One more thing. For this webinar test, just right click on this, go to show in System Explorer, and it will open it. Just double click on webinar test and create a folder called libs. The basic practice is just name it as libs or library. So basically this will be the library where we are keeping all the executable jar files which you have seen some time back. Like we have to keep this Selenium jar files. So just copy this lib folder, all the jar files, and place it in this libs. Similarly, we have two other jar files also outside. Just copy that and put it here. So basically what we are doing, we are just copying the jar files which we have downloaded from seleniumhq.org website, and we are keeping those jar files in our project. Now we have kept it. So go to Eclipse and select your project and right click and click on refresh. So we have created a libs folder over there, and whatever the jar files we have kept in that libs folder, it get populated here. So just select all the jar files and right click. Go to build path and say add to build path. So it will create a different reference library. It will create a different reference library. Now, what is the purpose of this lib folder? Why I have created this lib folder? Why I have not kept it directly into reference library? So the basic idea why I have created lib folder is, suppose today I am the first person who is working in the organization on the Selenium project and automating the test, and whatever the jar files I have used, if I am not keeping under the project solution and I have kept it in my machine somewhere, then when a new guy will come and join me in the automation test, suppose I have to copy the whole project solution into his machine, then all these executable jar files needs to be downloaded in his machine separately for that particular project. So when we keep all the jar files in the libs folder and copy the whole project and give it to my colleague, it will definitely, all the jar files will go with that project only. So wherever we are moving that project in whichever computer, it is not getting dependent upon the system, because all the related jar files in my project is in my project and not in any specific system. So this is the basic purpose why we have created this libs folder. Now similarly, we can create drivers. Just go to your project explorer and create a new folder and name it as drivers. So basically what we are keeping in these drivers is our Chrome and I server drivers. Again, this we have downloaded from anyone? Guys, this we have downloaded. Yeah,
We have downloaded from the Selenium HU website.
yeah, right. So we are just keeping in the drivers folder. Now again, come here on the webinar test, right click and say refresh, and it will show my drivers, whatever the drivers I'm using. So now suppose what I have explained just now, if we want to pass this webinar test, this project to another system or to another colleague, just copy this webinar test and pass it to his system. Then these Chrome drivers, this library folder, every jar file, every drivers will automatically get into that project itself. So no need to download and specify into the project into our colleague or into another system. So this is the advantage of this, doing this. So I will show you what I have done or what we can do. See, this is a browser class, and what this browser class will do is just I have created a method, public WebDriver, and the name of the method is launch browser. If you can see this, this is the signature. Don't get scared, guys. This is very easy, what I can say. And if you are ready to give 50 hours of your time, you are ready to go for Selenium. For interview point of view or just for working in your organization, just start doing this, what I'll suggest. So this is just a signature, and these are the two different parameters which we are going to pass into this method. Method are also known as functions. In QTP we say it as functions. In other languages, oops, we say it as methods. So just expand that. And what I have written here over here is try catch block is first. So don't go for try catch now. Just what I have done, this launch browser will work for all three browsers or any other browsers. Like suppose this is the first, just see this line. If browser dot equals ignore case, what this equals ignore case will do, if it is written Firefox over here and we are passing something from different lowercase character or uppercase character, it will ignore that case and it will just identify the alphabets, which alphabets we are passing. And if it is Firefox, it will run these line of codes. WebDriver driver equal to new Firefox driver, driver.manage.window.get.maximize. This line is to maximize the window. Then driver.get URL and then return this driver. Now similarly, suppose if you want to run for Chrome, just write it Chrome here, and this is the specific line for Chrome, system.setProperty, and this webdriver.chrome.driver. See, this line is everything having lowercase. So just try to do it in lowercase. If we type this in uppercase, any of the character, it will not work. So try to use this syntax as it is. And this is the path. This is the path where we have kept our Chrome driver.exe. I will show you now. See, this is the D test projects testing drivers. And this is the name of the executable Chrome driver.exe. So we have kept it. This is the same D test projects testing drivers. And this is the name of the .exe file. So it will point to that. And why we have kept double backslash? We have to keep double backslash. Single slash will not work in this. So just make it all the double slash. In C#, to overcome this, we have just @ over here. If you write @, it will accept it. but in Java we don't have, we have to do it double backslash. Similarly, the else condition is for I, system.set_property webdriver.ie.driver. Here we have webdriver.chrome.driver. And similarly, we have given the path for iDriver where we have kept it. And these 3-4 lines of code. So from this method, we can like see in program file when we go to the program file. I have created an object. I have created an object of this browser class. So basically we have to create an object to do something with that class. So we have created a browser. So whatever the name of the class, just write it over here. My class name is browser, so I have written it browser. This is the name given by us, object browser or anything we want to give it. ABC, XYZ, anything we can give it over here. This is our variable. This is our name. And just write this new and the class which we are calling, this class which we have written over here, this browser. So just write new browser and rounded brackets and semicolon. So we have created an object, and using this object browser, I have given it name object browser. We can name it anything. We can do something like this. The return type is driver. Guys, don't get scared that return type, what is return type and all that. We will see all these things when we are doing the actual trainings and we are doing in our test lab. So everything will get covered over there. Don't worry about anything. This is very simple and we can do it. So this is the return type. So we have mentioned over here driver, and we can write it as anything over here. I have written driver equal to. When we press this object browser, write object browser, write obj and control space, it will show object browser class which we have created the object. Just click on that, press dot, and it will show my launch browser method over here. Other methods are by default given by Selenium. This method launch browser, string URL, string browser we have created. So whatever all methods we are going to create in the browser class, all methods will get populated once we press dot. So as you can see in the above line, object browser, I have selected the launch browser. Again, we can select the launch browser. Sorry. Just select this launch browser and it is asking for URL and browser. So just give your URL. I have given this URL. I want to run my test on this URL. So just write this URL over here, and whichever browser you want to run, Chrome, Firefox or IE, just write it over here. Our script will run on any browser which we are specifying over here. So basically we are going to see how this script is written and how we are going to run it. So before that, I would like to make you understand what are the essentials which we need to prepare for this Selenium in terms of Java. So basically the first is OOPS concept. C OOPS concept, C# and Java both are the OOPS languages, object-oriented programming structure. So we have to learn what is class, what is object polymorphism. Object polymorphism is nothing but method overloading and overriding. This is very easy, guys. Inheritance, encapsulation, interface, and abstract class. Believe me, this is very easy, and we are going to practice this in our classroom session. Once we start this session, we are going to practice all these things in a very we can cover all these OOPS concept in maximum 2 or 3 lectures. And the programming concept, this if statements, for loop, advanced for loop, while, do while, this is also very easy. And most of the times we are going to use these 3 statements. Most of the times, very few times we are going to use while and do while. Once you get you have some practice in this programming, you can use any of the statements, any of the loop. So what I'll suggest you guys, whether you are going to start with Selenium or not, just start practicing programming concepts. Just start doing the programming, writing the even numbers, odd numbers, prime numbers, all these kind of things. Just write the code into your Eclipse and try to run it, and it from there you can practice actual programming. And then the file streams, how to read, write, or append something into Excel, Notepad, or Java property file, which is the environment file, CSV file. And the last is arrays and collections, array list and hash maps. Hash maps is basically for test dictionary. So these are very easy things, very easy topics, we can cover it. And the last but not least is the main method. If you can see, we have the main method over here, public static void main string args. So why we have written string args? Why not something else? So this is the default, because the command line will accept only the string arrays arguments. So we have to pass it arguments as string array. So these are very basic things, and we can do this once we start the classroom session. So what I wanted to show you, that these are the Java essentials which we have to learn. And believe me, once you learn all these things, OOPS concept, programming concept, you can crack any interview, or you are ready to develop a framework in your organization. So I'll just show you one program, how we can practice it. I'll just explain line by line what I have written and how it is doing something. So I this is a variable. We can name it anything. I have kept it as numbers. You can kept it as A, B, C, D, E, F, X, Y, Z. Anything you can keep. And what is the data type? Data type is integer, so just write int. If it is data type of string, just write string. Now here it is a data type of integer, so we have written int, and this is the name given by us. We have given it numbers, and the numbers limit is 10. What we are going to do from this program is, we want to print even numbers and odd numbers from 1 to 10. Okay, so just I have written a for loop over here. I'll explain line by line of this for loop. For this is again a declaration of I. We can name it anything. I have named it as I, J, K, anything we can name it as A, B, C, D, and the data type is int. So again I have written it int, and from where we want to start this for loop. So I want to start from 1, and up to what limit I want to do this. So I want to do this up to this limit, numbers, and what number stores is this value. So we are going to do this up to numbers, and it will get this I plus plus means it will get incremented by 1. If we write I minus minus, it will get decremented by 1. Now this line, if statement, if I %2 is equal to 0, means if I, this I, which when this for loop starts, whatever the value is there in the I, this I will come here and it will divide by 2. If it is throwing 0, it will just write this line, system out dot print line I plus, this plus sign is used to add strings. So we are using this, and I plus is even number. Else, if it is not coming as 0, just print it as odd number. So we are going to run this program and see how this works. So run as Java application. And it is showing me 1 is odd number, 2 is even number, 3 is odd number, 4 is even number. So the basic idea why I have kept it as a variable numbers, just we can append this and write 100, and it will throw all the out even number and odd numbers between 1 and 100. So just right click, run as, and click on Java application. It is showing up to 1 to 100, which is the odd number and what is the even number between 1 to 100. So now suppose we want to start from 50. So we have given the starting point as 50. Instead of 1, we want to start it from 50. So just write 50. And again right click and run as Java application. It will start from 50. It has not started from 1. It has started from 50. So this is the program to print prime even number and odd number. Similarly, you people can practice at your home or in your office also. If you have Eclipse and all this setup, then you can practice these programs from Google and you can enhance your programming skills. So I'm going to comment this code. So for commenting the code, I'm just selecting all the lines which we want to comment, and just press Control Shift and /. It will comment the whole block. Now I want to uncomment the above part. So I'm again pressing for uncommenting Control Shift and /. So basically, what is our test case over here is I'll just go through the test case, whatever the test steps we have got from our test management tool, which we want to automate. So suppose this is the URL which we have to launch in any of the browsers. And after that, we have to just do the data entry for username, email address, password, confirm password, first name, last name, PIN code, mobile number. All these fields we want to fill with our data. So I have written this driver.findElement by.id. So this is by.id is the locator. See, these are the different locators which we have in the Selenium. By dot whatever we want to select, just select this. And my personal experience is the XPath is one of the worst locators, so don't try to use XPath. If we are not getting anything, then try to use XPath, and in that also try to use relative XPath. So XPaths are two types: relative path and absolute path. Absolute path is we are defining each and every node starting from HTML and giving it, and relative XPath is we are skipping some elements when we are defining the path. So once we start the lab session, we can understand what is XPath and what all different locators. So as of now, what we can see over here is this page we have to automate, and how we have got that ID or name or different class of different locators. So just go to your browser and press F12. So I have pressed F12, and this is the window bottom panel which we will get, and just click on the first arrow mark. You can see select an element in the page to inspect it. So just click on that arrow mark, and whichever field you can say, or I will say object, just go to that and click on that. So I want to identify for username. So I have clicked on username, and then in the bottom panel you can see for username it has selected the class which the developer have used is username form dash text required. ID they have used it edit name. So guys, I believe you people are very much aware that ID is unique every time. ID has a property that it will be unique. In database also, when we define or create a table, the first part, serial number or employee ID, will be unique. So ID will be unique. And if the developers have designed in a manner that they have given the ID, try to use the ID. So what I'm saying is, when we are going to use the locators, try to go for the ID first. And if ID is not available, then go for this name. So what I have done here is, it is given ID, so by.id, and the name of the ID I have given edit dash name. We can see its name is edit dash, its ID is edit dash name. So just I have copied it from here and pasted it in my code. And this is the send keys. The send keys is basically what keys we want to send from the computers to this. So I want to write it there, auto click. Similarly, for other objects or other fields, we can do it like this. So I have done using ID because ID is available. And this driver.quit line is to close the browser, to quit the browser. So once this line get executed, it will automatically close this browser. So as of now, I'm commenting this line. I don't want to close the browser. I'll close this Chrome and see. This is my URL and this is the name of the browser for which I want to run. So go to browser class. It will run this line of code. So come here and right click and run as Java application. So it will start my Chrome and it get maximized and it will navigate to that URL and it will start entering the data. So it has entered all the data. And suppose if we have not commented driver.quit, it would have closed my browser. So again, we will go with this and do this. So just again try to do the same thing, run as Java application. It will close my browser also in this part. Guys, if you have any questions, you can ask me anytime. Now it has closed my browser also. So basically this is a test which we have created and we are going to create many more tests and the framework in our classroom session. So we are done with this first Selenium script. So these are the different type of locators: ID, class name, name, link text, XPath, CSS selector. See, if the first two I have explained to you, ID and name, the other two are which are very much reliable is class name and CSS selector. If we don't have, if developers don't have defined ID and name for any of particular object, we can go for that class name. And if class name is also not there, we can go for the CSS selector. CSS is nothing but computing styles sheet. So what this CSS selector will do is it will capture the object in terms of its XY coordinates, height and width. So this is definitely given by the developers where they want to place their object and what will be the height and width of the object. So this is the one thing which is given by developer mandatorily. So if something is not given, we can go for CSS selector. When CSS selector is also not there, we can go for XPath, but try to use relative XPath. So these are the different type of locators and we have seen it now. The last part is framework and reporting. So one more thing guys, I want to explain you like how to install TestNG. I have prepared this document like how to install TestNG. Just open Eclipse, go to help and click on install new software. So just open Eclipse, go to help, install new software. Just click on this install new software. So it opened a window over here. Just we have to write our path over here. So just write http and this beust.com/eclipse. Just write this over here and press enter. So as my system is already, my Eclipse is already installed, is already having test ng, so it is not showing me. But when you do in your machine, you can find it here as test ng option. So I'll show you in the snap what it is. This is the first snap which we have done. So write this URL into that work with drop down and press enter. Under name column, test ng checkbox will be displayed. So this window will get pop up, and this test ng, just check that checkbox and click on next. Then once you click on next, it will show this window, and select that test ng again and click on next. After that, it will ask for agreement. Just click on that agreement radio button. I agree with the terms of license agreement, whatever it is written. Just agree with that and click on finish. It will take some time to install. It will pop up a window something like this, installing software, and it will take some time. And it is showing that it is running in background, so we are not able to see what it is running. It's because it is running in background. So it will throw this pop-up and just wait for some time. It will take like 10 or 15 minutes, and then we will get this pop-up. Something warning. Just click on that OK, and then again it will take some time, and the test ng is installed. Just click on yes, test ng is installed. Now how we can verify whether my test ng is installed or not? So just go to Eclipse, go to this run, and sorry, go to window, preferences, and here test ng will get populated. So from here we can verify that test ng got installed successfully. Now we can create a test ng. See what is the difference between test ng and JUnit. Why we would require test ng? Test ng is required where we want to run a group test, where we want to run our complete test. Like suppose you guys are very much aware about the sanity test and regression test. So once the build comes from the development side and we want to check whether the build is proper or not, we have defined some sanity tests, sanity checks, which are the test cases only, high level test cases, and we have prepared the scripts in Selenium for that. So once the build is deployed from the development side on the server, we can run our sanity test. So one group is sanity test, and it will have suppose 10 or 20 test cases. Now once the sanity test is passed, we want to run our regression suite, which is having 1000 cases or 500 cases. Then so these kind of grouping, sanity test, regression test, release 1, release 2, these kind of things, we can group it from test ng. So this is the advantage of test ng. Now suppose we want to, how we can run it from test ng. So just click on your project and go to here. This is also the other way to verify whether the test ng is installed successfully or not. This is the other way. So here we can see test ng is already successfully installed. So we want to create a XML file programmatically so that we can create our different groups into that, like sanity, release 1, release 2, or regression suite. So in order to create that, just right click on your project we have the project called webinar test. I have right clicked on it, went on new, and in that new, the last option is other. So just click on other, and in first, if testng, if in your system, in your Eclipse, if testng XML is not created, so first time it will come it as like this. So just expand this general and click on this file and click on next, and just write the name of the testng over here. So I'll write it over here, webinar, or you can do it sanity or multiple classes dot xml. So just do this, and for whichever project, see these three projects are there in my left panel. So all these three projects are coming in the second panel. So just for whichever project you want to uh, create the testng XML file, just click on that project and name the XML file multiple classes.xml and just click on finish. So it has created multiple classes.xml file over here, and we can write our XML file, XML code over here, and we can run from multiple classes. Just right click and we can run it from here, run as testng or whatever we want to run it. So from here we can do like this. So this is the basically testng part. The last part is reporting, and reporting is very important in terms of when we are putting the reports to our managers or our client, how the report look like or how much user friendly is that report. So there are different libraries which we have, like suppose we want to create our report in HTML report, and there we want to write the actual and the expected outcomes and the screenshots whichever has been taken during the execution. So all those will get into that reporting part. So we will create that also in our lab session, but we have very limited time now. I can't show you those things, but because it will take some time. So those kind of reporting we can do by creating the HTML page and writing something on that page, and those code will be reusable and which can be used across any of the applications in any of the organizations, at our home, at our any other place. So those are the reusables which are not dependent upon the application. So this is the basic framework and reporting part. The one more thing, like this test data. With this test data file, we are going to keep it in our project solution, and from there we are going to parameterize our test. Suppose we want to run our particular test on multiple set of data, then we can put those set of data in our Excel file and put it the name of the test case, and it will run for that test case for that many set of data. So we can create that also, and that can be created using, there are two types of libraries. The first is POI library, that is from Apache, Oracle Apache, POI library, and the other is JXL. So in real time, many people are using POI. Many people are using it because it supports 2013 Office, 2010 to 2007, 2003. Every Excel it supports, every version of Excel it supports. But the limitation with JXL that it supports up to 2003. So most of the people in industry are not using 2003, that is JXL, and they are using POI. So in our classroom session, we are also going to use that POI. Guys, if you have any questions, you can go ahead and ask me. I'll be happy to answer. Don't get, what I'll suggest, don't get scared. This is very easy. Just what we have to invest is just invest few hours of your life, 50 hours, and you can do the automation. Believe in my words. Just we have to practice it few times and we are ready to develop the framework. If you guys have any question, you can go ahead and write it in the chat window also. No questions? Okay guys, if you don't have any questions, you can post your questions if you have later to Tech Canvas, and I'll try to answer as soon as possible on those things. So always put up your questions to Tech Canvas and we are ready to answer your questions. Thank